thanks everyone for coming as well. And the start of this is more going into just an introduction of self-mastery, and of course this is sort of the more advanced version of the Lightworker stuff that's been covered in different workshops, stuff that you've already, some of you, or you've all been here before that you've attended, but it's just good to go through a brief thing. So of course this is sort of the book that everything is based off that you've all got a copy of, and the tablet behind you is actually the tablet that appeared in my room that assisted with a lot of the transmissions that Rainbow Light came from that and came upon me that I've spoken about a few times before. So that's sort of like a basis of some of the material, but when going into this with the foundation of transformation, it's got to do with self-mastery, the ability to be aware, conscious and in control of your actions in all situations. The best that you can be. It's not that we've got control of every situation, but there are circumstances outside of our control, but how we react and where we send energy is very important, and that's through self-mastery. So a very simplistic thing with this, that is, there's different aspects that people go by with self-mastery, but I think something that's very applicable and very simple, and is the foundation going into the Buddha's teachings, is the Buddha's Four Noble Truths. So this is, life includes inevitable suffering. There is always a cause for suffering. There is an end to suffering, and the end of suffering can be found in the Noble Eightfold Path. So everyone here has suffered to some point, whether it's through attachments with relationships, outcomes that we expected, projects that we've done. Things don't always go to plan, but there is blessings and burdens, as I say, and it's finding the fruit where we can within them. Going on from that, which was number 4 in the truths, is the Noble Eightfold Path of Buddhism. So basically pointing this out, right understanding, embrace a positive view, right intention. Will your intentions help or harm others or the situation? Right speech. This is a bit extensive here, but I used Dr. Emoto's example of this, and I got permission from his son to use the images we're about to go through, because it really shows how our thoughts affect water and also our body. So the right speech, the words we use and the energy behind them create geometric effects, if positive. In his work, which I've added to the right speech, this isn't in the original, but it's again an example. In his work, Dr. Emoto goes into how negative words create a distorted effect in water, ice crystals, and when exposed to positive words, it creates harmony and geometry in the water, ice crystals. This includes even the written word. Around 70%, give or take, of the body is water. So as an example, if you talk to your water and bless it, and then you drink it, just imagine the positive effect this will have on your body and your mind. Also something to ponder is what thinking positive thoughts can do to the molecular structure of the body. So even purely just a thought, not just verbalizing it, but just having positive thoughts. So this means it's very important to catch yourself when you swear or have negative intentions behind what you say and think. Positive thinking and speaking positive words create harmony in vibration. In the same way, negative words create chaos and distortion that prevents harmony. It's not in harmony. I know which one I prefer. So here's Dr. Emoto, and more can be found at the emotopeaceproject.net. But going into it, this is how the word evil appears, how thank you appears. I hate you. There's no geometry. It's just chaotic. And then I love you. It's got harmony to it. It's got geometry to it. It's got structure to it. So negative and positive. So harmony brings balance, and perfect geometry is very simplistic. When you've got harmony, you've got love, you've got balance, you've got flow. And this is just from the USGS, just in terms, because people are a bit all over the shop with what actually percentage of water we have in our bodies, and with modern terms and modern science, in adult men about 60% of their bodies are water. However, fat tissue does not have as much water as lean tissue. In adult women, fat makes up more of the body than men, so they have about 55% of their bodies made up of water. So going on, right action. Are your actions of benefit to you and others? And if so, how? Will your actions affect another in a negative way? This is when cause and effect come in, when looking at the ramifications of your actions. 5, the right livelihood. Does what you do to support yourself help others and or your community? Or does it have a negative effect? 6, the right effort. Are you making the right effort, and are others putting their effort in? 7, right mindfulness. Be mindful of your actions because they can affect others. And 8, right concentration. This is another way of saying consider positivity rather than being negative, and to apply the energy and attention to that which you are focusing on. So that's just a basic thing, just to ponder on some things for thought, because really self-mastery is the key foundation for whether it's initiating contact with otherworldly intelligences, the very simplistic thing of living a good life, a happy life, a joyful life, a balanced life. When you can be in control of that, where you can be, it's almost like the rest falls into place, which is why I prefer working at things from this perspective, because the contact comes along with that anyway, I think. It's like some people might start having experiences and then they haven't had the self-mastery path, but what happens is it leads them to the self-mastery path of going, right, how's these experiences benefiting me? How am I being a better person and what have you? Because things can go awry if you sort of are not aware of bringing it back to you. A lot of people start looking to ETs to solve the problems or have all the answers. The fact of the matter is they're just our greater family. So it's bringing the control back to us and just seeing that as extended family, almost extended guides that, like your family, you can ring up and get advice, use it, don't use it, very much the same. But first and foremost, bringing it back to ourselves and source. The psychic senses, clairvoyance, who here gets to see? Is you three were saying. So seeing impressions, symbols, visions with the mind's eye. This can include the dream state, so you get it at times, and sometimes it can be like a movie is playing. Clairsentience, feelings, impressions, insight and or communication. Have you all had little bits of that before? Clairaudience, this is hearing, this is where you can perceive sounds, noises, words, communication from a past loved one and otherworldly being. Claircognizance, a knowingness is something to be true, but you're not sure how. It can be like a download, a knowledge bomb. Clairsense, smelling, this is where you gain insights through the perception of smell, sense, etc., which are perceived through smell. So, have you been here and experienced Kuan Yin and smelt jasmine? No, there's been a few people with certain beings around that they'll get a certain smell around them, and with jasmine, a lot of the time it's Kuan Yin, which is funny. I'm drinking a Dilma tea, jasmine drink. Clairgustance, this is tasting. This is where you get a taste or a sense of a taste, whether it be from an event, something a past loved one loved to eat, drink. And clairtangency, this is touching, psychometry, where you can glean information and facts from holding or touching an object or someone. Has anyone done that before where they've held an object? Yeah, you've got impressions and information. A lot of psychic investigations are done through that, where law enforcement or what have you can give somebody an object of somebody that is missing, had something done to them, and they can hold that and glean information. And it's very common that even entities and energies can be attached to objects that start activity up in haunted locations. So it could be bought from an antique store and there's an energy attached to it, goes to a new home, and all of a sudden the home's haunted and getting activity, and that can be one way that it's done. But impressions are left in everything. So basically the senses are, if we look at the five sense reality, sight, sound, touch, taste, smell, you can use that psychically with sight, psychically with sound, touch, taste, smell, but also the extra, which is feelings, emotions, thoughts and inner vision. These are the extra senses. And again, we can only see, as I've said a heap of times before in the presentations, we can only, well, I think now it's 0.003% of the electromagnetic spectrum can we perceive. So small. It was 0.005, now it's even less. So, as we're touching on briefly, there's even contact that can happen in the dream time. So being aware that there can be insight guidance happening in that, as well as the astral state. And we'll be going into astral travelling tomorrow. So it's coming back to what's the best tool in your spiritual toolbox, and intermittently what you'll notice is other senses will kick in throughout your life and when doing your practices. So it's something that when you connect with Source, people have visuals in near-death experiences, in altered states of consciousness, but more than anything, when you merge with Source, it's more of a feeling. You can't put anything to it except it's a feeling, and that's sort of probably the biggest gift that we've got. And actually what that is the Tibetan letter for A, or Sanskrit, which is pronounced Ah, and that is the tonal and the focal point for the Rainbow Body teachings, that they visualise. As an example, they will even visualise that symbol as they go. This is called dream yoga. They visualise that symbol as they fall asleep, and it gets to a point. Namkai Norbu was the teacher of dream yoga, as well as a lot of the Dzogchen practice is no longer with us, but you will visualise that as you fall asleep, and it gets to the point that you're not even asleep, you never really go to sleep, but what you do is you visualise that. Then what happens is you become aware that you're now in the dream, and you can take control of your dream and your dream landscape. And then when you come back to a waking state for the physical vessel, you also visualise that for a few minutes. And that's actually a practice of dream yoga that the Tibetans use. Because what's real and what's not, this is a dream to an extent. And the unbounded aspect is real. It doesn't mean and belittle this dream, this earth experience, which is a dream. But yeah, the Dzogchen teaching, so I'll show you some of that later. But these are the very deep things where they're sitting in caves or they're in communities doing rainbow body teachings. It's got to do with the Dzogchen teachings. And basically it's working with the orb of light as well, which I didn't know. This is what I mean. Some of this is from the transmissions, which the orb represents empty awareness, which is God's mind, which is your mind. The state of when you don't identify no longer with anything. That is, you are just empty, you're pure consciousness, you're pure awareness. Now you're tapping into the unbounded field that everything comes from. But they're doing that from a physical vessel to where you've got a few things. Rainbow phenomena appears around these people when they do it. The physical body can dissolve and turn into ash, and there's only fingernails or hair left. Sometimes the physical body will shrink and they become the size of a baby and look like they do as an adult. And the rainbow phenomena are around the facility where this occurs. This is happening now. They had Father V. Tizzo from the Institute of Noetic Sciences, which I read one of his books on it, actually go to Tibet and investigate this. And it's said now, not by him but others, David Wilcox, one of them, that there's been 160,000 cases of rainbow body achieved. And the original teachings of that was brought by Padmasambhava, who was one of them. There's actually another teacher which I'll go into a bit later, but he was in India for 1,000 years before he went to Tibet to take the rainbow body teachings, and there's actually impressions of his hand and feet in stone that he's manipulated, and they got shrines to him throughout India going up to Tibet as well. So that's what happens on the Ascension line, is the stuff that we see X-Men or superheroes doing, that we perceive as superhuman abilities. We start to attain these things, which are just byproducts through enlightenment, through ascension, of levitation, telekinesis, manipulating matter, manifesting out of thin air, like I said, with the egregore or the tulpa, all these things that are like far out. This is why they're known because they're real human abilities, but there's a number of reasons why they're dormant, and part of that's got to do with the frequency that we're residing in at this time that we're here to transmute and ascend. There was a time for Ishiji with the material that I was given was that when you see double rainbows, the portals are opening or closing or both. Double rainbows in the sky. I wasn't aware of this. There were some interesting things from Aboriginal elders on the aspect of the double rainbows. When you go into mine or the Native Americans, it was like this new era, this time of ascension that we're stepping into. The prequel to that would be the double rainbows in the sky. Now, as airy-fairy as that can sound to some, what's really interesting to me is that since about 2014 for me, I've seen a lot of double rainbows. I can't remember seeing double rainbows before that as a kid. I love rainbows. Even here at the sanctuary with all the photos of the rainbow, there's always two of them. I haven't had this one rainbow, which is so weird, but I look back and I thought about that. I've spoken to friends and family and asked them, have you noticed that these days when you see a rainbow, it's usually double? And they think about it and like, when you were younger, any double rainbows? It's just something that people don't think about until they think about it.
Call like you see a rainbow and the rainbow below, so to say, or is double rainbow also you see one rainbow here or other?
No, there'll be a rainbow, and just above it or below it, almost in line with it, there'll be another. There's actually one day, I can't remember the town, but I was driving back from Melbourne, from here to Melbourne, and we saw about 9 of them through this valley area, and that was like not enough time. It was only probably 30 seconds, to get over the car, pull over. By that time, most of them are dissolved, but I was like, what's the chances of seeing that many in this valley? And it was a really hilly valley, about an hour and a half outside of Melbourne. So it's just some food for thought. And of course, different factors of why we see rainbows before and after and during storms. But there is something about a rainbow that's spiritual as well. When you look at a rainbow, there's something that, for me personally anyway, I go in awe. And just the information that there is portals opening and closing from Shiji added to that was adding to that mystery, as well as when you hear about it's a sign of the next phase of humanity, that in this new age the signs will be double rainbows. It's just some food for thought. So just take notice next time you see a rainbow, if there's 2 of them. I've even seen just where there's been 3 of them as well. Like, it's not just 2, but it's just some food for thought. That's all. Yeah.
Because I said 7:34. I wouldn't be surprised if that's right now.
Where's the clock?
I've got it on the phone, but I don't want to move the satellite tracker.
Watch? Yes.
What time is it?
7:30. Crap. Yes, 7:34. Yay. Full direction change. That was an absolute right angle.
Well, there's nothing on the satellite tracker. I'm going to double check on the phone. 7:34 on the phone. You want to see this, Estelle?
Yeah.
Just so you can see.
And do you remember it was
See, there it is there, and it's 7:34.
Yeah, and it was heading towards Sirius. And
it did a turn. So that's blue. That's her.
Blue? Yay!
So that's the satellite over here, and it's way over there.
How did that turn?
Got it. I don't know.
Hey guys, do you want to see the colour? Yeah. It was really blue. It's just kind of dropped in colour, but have a look now. Where look on the screen here. Can you see?
That's as much as I can zoom in there. Yeah, there is. There's 3 of them. Yeah.
That's cool. And they're kind of circling into each other. That's awesome.
I got that on camera. Yeah, there's 3. There's a triangle.
And look at this.
Giving me third eye pressure, that one.
The other one's disappeared that me and Henning were on.
Yeah.
And then the camera went from being charged to work all night to battery flat, and like I had this as backup. And there's a plane. There's a plane up there. Look at this.
Well, we're coming up to 9:55, Peter. Oh my
Look at that.
Look at that!
Whoa! Look at that. Massive power ups.
So cool.
Woo! Man, that's crazy.
Even the cow said moo. There's a third, there's one down the bottom.
Yeah, I thought it was there. Yeah, no, there's 3 of them.
You can't find the power up button.
Man.